On September 5, 2014, a Bombardier Challenger 600 private jet landed at Lanseria International Airport in South Africa. South African customs agents boarded the aircraft. They opened the luggage compartments. They found 3 heavy black suitcases. Inside the suitcases, they found bundles of $100 bills. The total amount was $9.3 million in cash. The South African authorities seized the money. They suspected arms smuggling and money laundering. The Nigerian government quickly issued a statement. They claimed the cash was legitimate. They claimed it was for buying weapons for the intelligence services. But the investigators checked the registration of the private jet. The jet did not belong to the Nigerian military. It did not belong to a defense contractor. The jet belonged to Pastor Ayo Oritseyefo. At the time, he was the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria. A commercial pastor's private jet was caught smuggling government cash across international borders. This is not a story about faith. This is a story about finance. You are watching Historic Capital. This is the investigation into the megachurch economy. To understand this financial empire, you must look at the Nigerian tax code. If you register a business in Nigeria, you pay company income tax. The rate is 30%. If you work a salaried job, the government deducts pay-as-you-earn tax. The rate takes up to 24% of your income. But if you register an organization under the Companies and Allied Matters Act as an incorporated trustee, the rules change. Churches fall under this category. They are legally classified as charities. This classification grants them the most valuable financial asset in the world: absolute tax exemption. Let's trace the cash flow. On a Sunday morning, a mega church in Lagos gathers 50,000 people in a single auditorium. The ushers pass the offering bags. The congregation drops in cash, writes checks, and uses point-of-sale machines. The church collects tithes, offerings, seed sowing, and special building funds. On a single Sunday, a mega church can generate hundreds of millions of naira in pure liquid cash. On Monday morning, armored bullion vans transport this cash to commercial banks. The bank managers deposit the money into the church's corporate accounts. The Federal Inland Revenue Service watches this transaction happen. They do not touch a single naira. The money enters the banking system completely untaxed. For a financial investigator, this is not just a church. This is an onshore tax haven. It functions exactly like a shell company in the Cayman Islands, but it operates in plain sight in Ota and Lagos. Mega churches do not just hoard cash, they invest it. They expand into commercial enterprises. They build publishing houses, water factories, bakeries, and real estate estates. But their most profitable investments are private universities. Look at Covenant University, owned by Bishop David Oyedepo's Living Faith Church. Look at Babcock University, owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Let's follow the transaction that builds these schools. The pastor stands on the altar. He announces a special offering to build a world-class university for the Lord. The congregation sacrifices. Market women donate their trading capital. Civil servants donate their salaries. They give the money freely because they believe they are building a religious institution. The church uses this tax-free donated capital to buy land and build the campus. They do not take out bank loans. They pay zero interest. The university opens its doors, but the business model shifts. The university does not operate as a charity. It operates as a premium commercial business. The tuition fees at these universities range from 1 million naira to over 3 million naira per session. The market woman who donated her capital to build the school cannot afford to send her child there. Her child goes to a decaying federal university. The rich politician and the wealthy bank manager send their children to the church university. The institution takes charity from the poor to build infrastructure, then charges premium fees to the rich to generate profit. And because the university is owned by a religious mission, the profits generated are shielded by the same tax exemption laws. It is the perfect business model. Zero cost of capital, zero taxation, high margin revenue. What happens to the massive profits generated by the tithes and the university fees? Some of it builds more church branches, but a significant portion leaves the country. It buys aviation. Bishop David Oyedepo owns a fleet of private jets, including Gulfstream and Bombardier aircraft. Pastor Ayo Oritsejafor acquired a Bombardier jet. Several other high-profile pastors maintain private aircraft in hangars across Lagos and Abuja. A private jet is not a one-time purchase. It is a daily financial drain. A Gulfstream vet costs tens of millions of dollars to buy. It costs millions of dollars every year to maintain. You must pay for parking, insurance, aviation fuel, and foreign pilots. Where does this money come from? It is withdrawn directly from the church treasury. The church transfers dollars to aviation maintenance companies in the United States and the United Kingdom. This is a transaction of capital flight. The money contributed by a struggling teacher in Lagos is converted into foreign exchange. It is wired to an aviation mechanic in London to service an engine. That money never returns to the Nigerian economy. When citizens question this, the church releases a statement. They claim the jet is a ministry tool. They claim the pastor needs it to fly to remote villages to preach. But Gulfstreams are not built for remote villages. They require long, paved commercial runways. They are built to fly to London, Houston, and Dubai. The private jet is not a tool for local charity. It is a mechanism for moving untaxed wealth across global borders. The ultimate power of the megachurch economy is secrecy. Unlike a publicly traded company, a church does not publish its financial audits to the public. The members do not get a balance sheet at the end of the year. Politicians know this. This brings us to the most dangerous intersection of church and state: money laundering. Let's trace the crime. A state governor inflates a road contract. He steals 500 million naira in cash. He has a problem. He cannot walk into a bank and deposit 500 million naira. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCCC, will flag his account. The banks are required by law to report suspicious transactions. So the governor drives to a megachurch. He requests a private meeting with the general overseer. During the Sunday service, the governor makes a public Thanksgiving offering. He donates a portion of the stolen cash to the church. He quietly hands over the rest behind closed doors. The church accountants take the dirty cash. They mix it with the legitimate offerings collected from the thousands of regular members. They deposit the combined cash into the church's corporate bank account. The EFCC does not flag megachurch deposits. A deposit of 500 million naira by a church is considered normal Sunday revenue. The stolen government money is now successfully washed. It is inside the legal banking system. What does the governor get in return? Sometimes the church awards a highly lucrative construction contract to a front company owned by the governor's brother. The clean money flows back to the politician. Other times, the governor buys political protection. The pastor stands on the altar weeks before an election. He tells a congregation of 50,000 people that the governor is God's chosen candidate. The pastor cleans the money. The politician buys the voters. You pay for this system every day. When a multi-billion naira financial empire pays zero tax, a massive hole is left in the national budget. The government still needs money to build roads, equip hospitals, and pay the military. Because the megachurches do not pay income tax, the government must extract the money from somewhere else. They extract it from you. The government increases the value-added tax, VAT, on the food you buy. They increase the import duties on the cars you drive. They remove the fuel subsidy. The burden of running the country is shifted entirely onto the middle class and the poor. The tragedy plays out in a perfect loop. A citizen works 60 hours a week. The government takes 24% of his salary as tax. He takes the remainder to church. He drops 10% in the offering plate as a tithe. The church pays zero tax on that tithe. The pastor uses the untaxed tithe to fuel a private jet. The citizen walks out of the church and waits 2 hours for a commercial bus on a broken, unpaved road. The wealth moves upward. The poverty stays on the ground. When citizens complain about the broken road, the pastor tells them to pray harder. He tells them their poverty is a spiritual attack. It is not a spiritual attack. It is an economic extraction. The Nigerian megachurch is a brilliant corporate structure. It operates with the branding of a charity, the profitability of a hedge fund, and the legal immunity of a sovereign embassy. They sell hope to the desperate, collect the premiums in cash, and invest the profits in tax-free commercial empires. The pastors are not just spiritual leaders. They are chief executive officers. They are God's bankers. This system survives because the victims defend it. If you question a politician, his supporters might argue with you. If you question a pastor, his congregation will threaten you with divine punishment. The perfect financial crime is one where the victim protects the perpetrator. This is not colonialism by force. It is colonialism by faith. It is an extraction signed by the citizens themselves, sealed with a chorus of Amen. This dossier completes our investigation into the pillars of extraction. We tracked the drug money in Chicago. We followed the bank transfers in London. We inspected the empty mansions in Abuja. And now we have audited the untaxed vaults of the megachurch. If you understand how these four systems work together, you finally understand why the country is poor. Which part of the megachurch economy shocked you the most? Was it the university business, the private jets, or the tithe loophole? Leave a comment below. Share this dossier with someone who needs to see the paper trail. You are watching Historic Capital. The truth is in the transactions. Follow the money.